As you know, you have a Unit 2 test coming up in math. This video will help you to review and practice all the important skills you can expect to see on the test. At any point, if you're unsure about something or simply want to see it again, you can always back up the video or rewatch something. Let's start with 4 times 3 to help us understand what multiplication is. We talked about multiplication as being repeated addition. So 4 times 3 tells us I have 4 groups of 3. So 3 plus 3 plus 3 plus 3 equals 12. 4 times 3 is 12. We also learned the name of each part of our multiplication sentence. 4 and 3 have the same name, and they are called factors. 12, the answer to our multiplication equation, is called the product. First, we'll multiply using groups. Again, 4 times 3 is telling me I have 4 groups of 3, so I'll draw my groups. And I'll put 3 in each group. Again, like the repeated addition, I can look at my groups and think 3 plus 3 plus 3 plus 3 is 12. Next, we'll multiply with arrays, remembering that arrays are rows. So I have 4 times 3, so that will be 4 rows of 3. And I'll look at the dimensions of my array and see I have 4 rows of 3, so this array is 4 by 3, and I can add it up. 3 plus 3 plus 3 plus 3 is 12. But what if I wanted to switch my factors? Can I multiply 3 times 4 instead of 4 times 3? Let's try it. If I do 3 times 4, I'll have 3 rows this time with 4 in each row. I'm not going to cheat. Almost there. Now my dimensions will be different. I don't have 4 by 3 this time. I have 3 by 4. And I can add it up by saying 4 plus 4 plus 4 is still 12. Which property of multiplication said that I would be able to switch the order of my factors and have the same product? Do you remember? It's the commutative property. In addition to multiplying with ones, we also talked about multiplying tens. I already know that 4 times 3 means 4 groups with 3 in each group, so 4 times 3 is 12. But now, how can I use that product of 12 to help me multiply 4 times 30? I'm going to take my units out and replace them with rods. So instead of 3 units in each group, I want 3 rods because I have 30, and I know that 30 is equal to 3 tenths. Last time, when I counted to find my product, I counted by 3s. But I'm not going to count by 3 this time. What am I going to count by? If you said 30, you are correct. I can look at each group and think 30 plus 30 plus 30 plus 30, or I can count my rods to be sure. 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100, 110, 120. So 4 times 3 is 12, and 4 times 30 is 120. When I multiply 4 times 30, I have the same digits as 4 times 3, but now I have a 0. So I also see the digits of 12 in 120. Again, I have the 0. I can use this pattern to help me multiply by any tens. We have also talked about three properties. We already discussed tonight the commutative property, but let's look at the associative property and the distributive property. The associative property says that I can group the factors differently and get the same product. So I can choose to put my parentheses wherever I want, and my product should stay the same. Since we already have practiced 4 times 3, let's start by multiplying 4 times 3 is 12. And then I'll multiply 2 times 12 to get 24. If I move my parentheses to be around 2 times 4 this time, 2 times 4 is 8, and 8 times 3 is 24. So I did get the same product. Finally, and most recently, we've talked about the distributive property. That property says I can break one factor into two easier factors that will help me multiply, but I have to remember to add the products back together at the end. So I took 6 and I broke it into 1 plus 5 because 1s and 5s are easy for me. So 1 times 8 is 8 and 5 times 8 is 40. And then I can add my two products together. 8 plus 40 is 48. Let's practice some more with the distributive property. I have here an array for 7 times 9. This might be a good time to pause the video so that you can try to use the property along with me. I'm going to look at 7 times 9, and I can choose either 7 or 9 to break into two easier facts. Because I like to multiply with 1, 2, 5, or 10 because they're easy for me, I see that 7 could be broken into 2 plus 5. And so I'm going to look at my array and see how I can break it up to be 2 and 5. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 rows going down. So I'm going to divide my array into 2 rows and 5 rows. So at the top above my line, I have 2 rows times 9 in each row. But let's make sure. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 2 times 9. Maybe you know a doubles fact of 2 times 9, or maybe you want to count your individual pieces, but 2 times 9 is 18. Let's look. I should now have 2 at the top and 5 at the bottom, but we'll check. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 times 9 is 45. You can count by 5s, or you can count each individual part. Remember, I have to add to put it back together. So 8 plus 5 is 13, and 1 plus 1 plus 4 is 6, 63. We've talked a lot about multiplication, and we also talked about how that would help us with division. Remembering that we said the product of a multiplication sentence can be used to begin a division sentence. So we'll use 4 times 3 is 12 to help us by taking our product of 12 and putting it at the beginning of our division sentence. 12 is called the dividend. I can use either of my factors and put it in the second position of my division equation. What would that be called? What is this part called? Good, the divisor. And finally, since I know that multiplication and division are related, I can use my final factor of 4 as my quotient. 12 divided by 3 is 4 because 4 times 3 is 12. And since multiplication and division are related, we can think of a division problem as a multiplication problem with an unknown factor. We're going to practice this in a little bit. Two division strategies that we have talked about are using groups and repeated subtraction. If I start with groups, I'm going to take my 15 from my dividend and divide it into 3 groups, like my divisor shows. So 1, 2, 3. And I'll put 1 in each group until I use 15. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, oopsie, 13, 14, 15. I went out of order, but I fixed my problem. 15 divided by 3, I'll find my answer by counting the number in each group. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 15 divided by 3 is 5. The next strategy I can use is repeated subtraction. And just like it says, I'm going to continue to repeat my subtraction. Starting with my dividend, I'll subtract my divisor. 15 minus 3 is 12. 12 minus 3 is 9. 9 minus 3 is 6. 6 minus 3 is 3. And finally, 3 minus 3 is 0. When I get to 0, I know that I'm done. So I can find my answer by counting how many times I subtracted. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 15 divided by 3 is 5. Now let's talk about those unknown factor problems I mentioned before. We know that multiplication and division are related, so if I need to divide 20 by 4, I can think about what times 4 equals 20. And maybe you want to draw a picture. Maybe you want to use a familiar fact, like the distributive property of 2 and 2. I know my 5's facts really well, so I already know that 4 times 5 is 20, and so 20 divided by 4 is 5. This time you try it. See if you can use 18 divided by 3 and make it into a unknown factor problem for multiplication. Go ahead and pause the video and try. I'm going to take my divisor 3 to be one of my factors, and my dividend 18 will be my product. So I need to think about what times 3 equals 18. Hopefully you found the answer, and that is 6. So 18 divided by 3 equals 6. That's all for tonight, but make sure you come to school tomorrow and let me know you watched the video and tell me what you see in the bottom corner. Then I'll know you watched the video. Good night.